Hello everyone, I am Semih FERİK. In this video, we will talking about nanotechnology in health. Okay, let's start the basic concept. So first subject is nano. What is nano? Nano refers to scale of size in metric system. It is used to scientific units to denote 1 billionth of base unit. Approximately 100,000 times smaller than the diameter of a human hair. Nano is prefix that means very, very small. Okay, what is nanometer? A nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. It's a million times smaller than the smallest measurement you can see on the ruler. It's a millionth of millimeter or billionth of a meter. How big is a nanometer? It's hard to imagine just how small nanometer. 1 nanometer is a billionth of a meter. Here I will illustrate examples. 10 hydrogen atoms laid side by side, 7 nanometer long. A strand of DNA 2.5 nanometer wide. A red blood cells 7000 nanometer wide. A sheet of paper 75,000 nanometer thick. A pinhead 1 billion nanometer wide. A human hair 50,000 nanometer wide. Okay, there are some examples. For example, gold nanoparticle is 10 nanometer. Carbon nanotube is 5 nanometer diameter. Other example, water molecule is 0.1 nanometer, and benzene is 0.5 nanometer. And there are some examples. How big is a nanometer? A human fingernail grows 1 nanometer every second. A man's beard grows 5 nanometers every second. 1 nanosecond is about the time required for light to travel 30 centimeters in air. A sheet of newspaper is about 1000 nanometers thick. There are 25 million 4000 nanometers in an inch. Nanoscience, it's not only biology, it's not only physics, it's not only chemistry, it's all science that work with the very small. Nanoscience is not physics, chemistry, engineering or biology. It's all of that. Nanotechnology is science, engineering and technology conduct at the nanoscale, which about 1 to 100 nanometers. Nanoscience and nanotechnology are the study and application of extremely small things and can be used across all the other science fields, such as chemistry, biology, physics, material science, and engineering. Nanotechnology, atomic molecular engineering of matter to reveal brand new properties of matters. It is the development of functional materials, devices, and systems to understand, control, and produce physical, chemistry, and biological events at the nanometer scale. Nanoscience and nanotechnology involve the ability to see and to control individual atoms and molecules. Everything on Earth is made up of atoms: the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the building and house we live in, and our blown bodies. So, nanoscience and nanotechnology are everything. Today's scientists and engineers are finding a wide variant of ways to deliberately make materials at nanoscale to advantage of their enhanced properties, such as higher strength, lighter weight, increased control of light spectrum, and greater chemical reactivity than their larger scale counterparts. Okay, other subject is how nanoscience started. The ideas and concept behind nanoscience and nanotechnology start with talk entitled There is Plenty of Room at the Bottom by physicist Richard Feynman at American Physical Society meeting at the California Institute of Technology. Long before the term nanotechnology was used, in his talk Feynman described a process in which scientists would be able to manipulate and control individual atoms and molecules. Over a decade later, in his explanation of ultrafission machining, Professor Nario Taniguchi coined the term nanotechnology. It wasn't until 1981, with the development of scanning tunneling microscope that could see individual atoms, that modern technology began. Once scientists had the right tools, such as scanning tunneling microscope and the atomic force microscope, the age of nanotechnology was born. Today, scientists and engineering are finding a wide variety of ways to deliberate make materials to nanoscale to advantage of their enhanced properties such as higher strength, lighter weight, increased control of light spectrum, and greater chemical reactivity than their larger scale counterparts. The nanoscience revolution will lead to new areas of search, better understanding of matter and interactions, new ways to tackle important problems in science. By learning about an individual atom's molecules properties, we can put them together in very well-defined ways to produce new materials with a new characteristics. Okay, why nano? At the nanoscale, strange things happen to materials. Their properties can change. For example, reactivity. As particles get smaller, they tend to react differently with their environment than larger particles. Size. Small particles can have different optical properties. Their colors change because different sizes of particles reflect and absorb light differently. Magnetism. Small particles can have different magnetic properties than larger. There are examples for potential impacts of nanotechnology. For example, technology, faster processing, morphing computers, and smaller, more powerful mobile devices. Health, diagnostic, cancer treatment, and targeted drug delivery. In materials, sport industry, cosmetics, clothing, and space elevators. In environment, clear engineering, better and energy storage and treatment of water. Uses of nanotechnology: cosmetics, reaction, household, engineering, textile, food and beverage, chemical industry, auto industry, construction, pharmacotechnical, energy, electronics. The diagram depicts the application of nanotechnology in various research fields. Nanotechnology spans many areas like biotechnology, national security and defense, food and agriculture, information technology, aerospace, plastics and textile industry, energy and environment, cosmetics and health and medicine. Nanotechnology in health. There are some subjects in nanotechnology in health domain: drug delivery, trigen therapy, gene delivery, detection and diagnosis, molecular imaging, biomarker mapping. Nanotechnology is production and investigation of miniaturized materials that could be seen by the human eye beyond and working on technologies to exploit them. Nanotechnology has entered applications such as medical imaging, pharmacology, microbiology, wound healing, tissue regeneration, the treatment of certain chronic diseases, genetic and various. Nanotechnology products provide benefits for carrying out testing and diagnosis procedures repeatedly, diagnosis the cancer in the early stage, identification of pathogens, detailed imaging and preventing infections. Besides the mentioned benefits, these products also building some systemics, genetic and cytotoxic risks. Nanotechnology's health impact can be split into two aspects: the potential for nanotechnological innovations to have medical applications to cure disease, and the potential health hazards posed by exposure to nanomaterials. Nanoscience and nanotechnology has great development potential. Nanotechnology, drug development, diagnosis, treatment, prevention of diseases and traumatic damage, control of use, production and use of human health, water decontaminations, information and communication technologies, production of more durable and mild effects should determine the need for field. In this sense, especially the development in pharmacology and drug delivery system, patient tracking device and regeneration science have gained weight. With these products developed, drugs are carried to target tissue and cells. Sick tissue can be repaired, clogged vessels can be opened. In addition, nanorobots that can repair genes will be able to enter our bodies and operate and discover information within DNA, preventing cystic fibrosis and genetic diseases such as Huntington's chorea. Nanomedicine to application of nanotechnology to human healthcare offers numerous potential pathways to innovating medicine, diagnosis and therapy, and even to regenerate tissue and organs. It can provide personalized yet more affordable healthcare while at the same time offering an improved quality of life for everyone. Nanomedicine is also a strategic issue for the competitive position of the healthcare industry in Europe. Nanoparticles find significant application in drug delivery and diagnostics. Being 1 millionth of matter that is as small as atoms or molecules, nanoparticles can be of immense use in the fields of drug delivery and diagnostics. While conventional drug developments have relied on organic chemical, they have not been able to provide a complete cure for cardiac attacks or neurological disorders because of the size of the particle involved. Even as most conventional drugs can target the receptors on the site alone, they may not assume a perfect fit. This is more so in the case of neurological disorders that are caused due imbalances in cell signaling pathways. Diagnostics and screening. There is an urgent need in the developing world for better disease diagnosis, and nanotechnology offers a multitude of options for detection diseases. For example, fluorescent quantum dots could improve malaria diagnosis by targeting the blood cell's inner membrane. One way of doing this by using quantum dots, nano-sized semiconductors that can be used as biosensor to find diseases and which can be made to fluoresce. Sometimes known as nanocrystal, quantum dots have significant advantage over traditional organic dyes as their luminescence can be tuned to a wide range of frequencies and they degrade much more slowly in the body. Fluorescent quantum dots can be attached to antibodies that target cancerous cells or cells infected with tuberculosis. Fluorescent quantum dots could also be used to diagnose malaria by making them target the protein that forms a mesh in the blood cell's inner membrane. The shape of this protein network changes when cells are infected with malaria, so scientists are able to spot malaria infection from the shape produced by dots. Similarly, carbon nanotubes and other nanoparticles such as nanowires have been used as biosensors to detect diseases such as HIV and cancer. Cancer biosensors can be made, for instance, by attaching nucleic acid probes to ends of nanowires. These probes are specifically diagnostic to bond to biomarkers that indicate cancer such as multinated RNA. When mutated RNA in a sample interacts with the probe's electric currents are induced along the nanowire, which is detected by the silicon chip in which the biosensor is embedded. Some diagnostics and screening applications. Nanoliter systems, known as lab-on-a-chip, a device that automates a biological process using fluids at the nanoliter scale. Quantum dots, nano-sized semiconductors that can be used as biosensors to find diseases. Because they fluoresce, they can be used to tag diseased cells. Magnetic nanoparticles used as nanosensors. Nanosensor array, grid of carbon nanotubes. Antibody dendrimer conjunctors, bright nanoparticles with antibodies on their ends for diagnosis of HIV and cancer. Carbon nanotubes and flatter, thin wires called nanobells or nanowires, often made of gold. As nanosensor for diagnosis as they bond to biomarkers that indicate cancer, such as mutated RNA. Nanoparticles as medical image enhancers. Medical imaging relies on looking for contrast in the way light is secreted in healthy tissue compared with diseased tissue. The sharper this contrasts, the more accurate the diagnosis. Nanoparticles are able to give medical imaging techniques a sharp resolution, making it easier to identify diseases. Drug delivery. Nanotechnology could also revolutionize drug delivery by overcoming challenges such as how to sustain in releases of drug in the body and improving bioavailability. The amount of active ingredient per dose. Some drug can now be delivered through nanovehicle, for example liposomes, which can deliver the drug payload by pushing with cell membranes, have been used to and complete HIF drugs such as stridivine and civodine in vehicles ranging from nanometers in size. Other nanodrug delivery systems include using fluorine, buckyballs, jacks, and branched nanomolecules called dendrimers. Some drug delivery systems. Buckyballs. Spherical nanoparticles can carry more than one drug at a time. They are useful in treatment of diseases such as cancer and other diseases where monotherapy can lead to drug resistance. Nanocapsules. There are pods that encapsulate drugs which ensures the drugs are released more slowly and steadily in the body. Liposomes are artificial vehicle made up of a lipid layer so they can fuse with a penetrate membranes easily. These have been used to treat diseases such as cancer, fungal infections, hepatitis A, and influenza. Dendrimers, tree-shaped synthetic nanomolecules that carry drugs in the tips of the branches. Nanobiomagnet, which carry drugs for cancer for instance into the body and are held to a target site by an external magnet. The purpose of this is to congregate the drug at tumor site for long enough for it to be absorbed. Autophagocytes classed with nanometer-sized pores that are ideal for filtering out harmful bacteria from water. Nanotechnology can also provide alternatives to injectable versions if the inactive virus is bound up with nanoparticles to increase the immune response. Nanotechnology in cancer. Nanotechnology advances have been heavily focused on cancer, mainly on diagnosis and drug delivery. Early diagnosis is one of the most important components in the success of cancer treatment. Traditional diagnosis methods are infrequent to diagnose cancer early. The substance may show different physical, chemical, and biological properties in nanoscale depending on quantum mechanical causes. These substances, which can be reduced to nanoscale, can be used for cancer imaging, targeting treating cancerous tissue, and destroying cancer cells with hyperthermia, as they eschew optical, magnetic, and thermal properties, while the quantum particles, which are 5 and 25 nanometers in size and have semiconductor properties, are covered with antibodies, very sensitive imaging of the targeting cell, tissue, or organ can be obtained by using this imaging technique. Cancer can be diagnosed early. The number of cells formed in the cancerous region is an important determinant in the early diagnosis of cancer. While a million cancer cells are expected to be formed to diagnose breast cancers with traditional imaging techniques, even less than 100 cells with nanotechnology is scientific to define breast cancer. Silicon nanocarbons, which recognize the small amount of specific proteins emitted from the prostate tissue, can be diagnosed with prostate-specific antigens, up to a quarter of the amount determined in conventional tests. The main way to achieve success in cancer treatment is to prevent the drug given to be directed to cancer cells as much as possible and to prevent or limit the effects on healthy tissue. When this conduction is achieved, a marked improvement in the patient's lifetime and quality will also be achieved. Significant innovations in target drug delivery have been achieved through research in the field of nano-oncology. When drugs are administered, drug targeting, drug concentrations in cancer cells can be increased, while the toxic effect in healthy cells can be minimized. The products developed on the nanoscale can easily pass into the tissue because they are very small in size. Nanostructures, while are one of these examples and have phospholipid feature, can enter cancerous tissue and burn the cancerous cells when appropriate wavelength radiation is used. In this method, known as tumoral hyperthermia, cancerous cells are destroyed by cytotoxic effect of high temperature. Drugs carried by polymer-coated nanoparticles have been used to treat multi-drug-resistant breast and ovarian cancer with the chemotherapies paclitaxel, which inhibits cell division, and lonitamine, which suppresses energy metabolism in cancer cells. The nanoparticles are designed to target on epidermal growth factor receptor, which is overexpressed in tumor cells. Scientists at Stanford University in the United States have used nanotechnology to devise a highly specific method of killing cancerous cells. They inserted carbon nanotubes into cancer cells and then exposed the tissue to near-infrared laser lights, heating up the nanotubes and killing the cancer cells while leaving the healthy cells intact. Possible contribution of nanotechnology to COVID-19. So far, no even treatment of vision has been suggested for the treatment of COVID-19, except for some conventionally used medication used to improve the immune system against malaria called chloroquine. However, the interesting and surprising properties of chemical compounds, especially nanodrugs, can scientifically contribute not only to the medicine and pharmaceutics, but they can also emerge as promising solutions to stop the deadly COVID-19 outbreak across the world. There is a hope that nanoparticles can make a change due to their size and intensified properties induced by the severe increase in a surface-to-volume ratio. The coronavirus structure reveals similarities with nanoparticles. The idea is nanoscale particles as small as the virus can interact with spike proteins or bind to them with the consecutive distribution of the viral structure through applying electromagnetic radiation, mainly infrared light. The resulting structural destruction can suppress the ability of the virus and its genome to multiply and reproduce within a host. Diagnostics is a newly emerged art which involves detecting and neutralizing viruses using nanodrugs and nanomedicine with a focus on diagnostics and therapy. Accordingly, there are reports considering the application of nanoparticles to fight microbes that cause influenza and tuberculosis. Nanoparticles have the ability to intercept the pathogens and viruses due to the possible surface modification and functionalization, with a huge amount of reports in the literature. It is possible to modify or functionalize nanoparticles so that they can dissolve the lipid membrane of the viruses, or even bind to the spike proteins and penetrate into the envelope and enclose the nucleosis and RNA. Nanoparticles can be modified functionalized to attack a particle or a range of viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens. Considering their size, modified nanoparticles can move through the body in bloodstream without causing problems or disrupting other functions, especially those that engage in human immune system and can remain much longer in the body to detect viruses. Tuberculosis and nanotechnology. The Central Scientific Instruments Organization of India has designed a nanotechnology-based TB diagnostic kit. Currently undergoing clinical trials. This would cut both the cost and time required for TB tests, and also require a smaller amount of blood for testing. Nanotechnology is also being used to treat TB more effectively. Existing TB treatment requires a complex drug regimen delivered over a period of months. Many patients don't take the drug properly or fail to complete the course. Drug formulations based on nanotechnology degrade more slowly, allowing more of active ingredients to be delivered so that fewer doses are required. Nanoparticles could also be basis for delivering an aerosol TB vaccine. Needle-free and therefore not requiring training personally to administer it. The vaccine is stable at room temperatures, important in the rural areas that lack a variable cold chain. Vaccines. Nanotechnology could herald a new era in immunizations by providing an alternatives to injectable vaccines for diseases that affect the people. Injectable vaccines need to be administered by healthcare professionals who may be scarce in developing countries, particularly in rural areas. Vaccines also need reliable refrigeration along the delivery chain. Scientists are working on aerosol TB vaccine. They are also investigating a nanotechnology-based skin patch against West Nile virus and chikungunya virus. Nanotechnology in clinic microbiology. Scientific developments have occurred in the field of clinical microbiology in the past 20 years. Applications such as rapid analysis of genetic materials of microorganisms in culture, antibiogram system, and clinical samples within 2 or 3 hours cause significant change in diagnostic procedures. Thus, the etigonal causes of the disease were relieved. The genotype was focused instead of the phenotype. The sensitivity and specificity were increased, and the time required for the test was shortened. Today, nanoprocessing method, which means being able to process product and at an atomic level, can be successfully used in the field of microbiology. Thanks to this technology, Identification of all known bacteria and viruses can be made in the petri dish with automated chips connected by electronic circuits. With the help of these microchips, efforts are made to resolve microorganism identification problems to identify antibiotic and antiviral resistance genes. To shorten the time diagnosis to eliminate identification problems in valuable samples such as clinical microbiological images and cerebrospinal fluid. Developing antibiotic resistance with nanotechnology will be determined at a very early stage, so more lethal nanobiotics can be developed than any known antibiotic. Products developed in the field of nanotechnology are included in the diagnostic process or to identify bacteria and viruses in the early periods. The developed sensors have the ability to recognize identified microorganisms and viruses. With these sensors, viruses such as HIV and SARS can be diagnosed early and the diseases they cause can be treated quickly. With microchip sensors, which are used in the field of diagnostic microbiology, HIV can be identified 2 or 3 months ahead of the traditional methods. HIV sensors are becoming increasingly common in some countries. Similarly, it has developed nanotechnological devices that detect drugs in saliva in Europe. The device can detect 5 different drug groups: cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and cannabis in less than 90 seconds in the single saliva. With this development, rapid results can be achieved around the world. Roadside tests, criminal crimes, and emergency situations. In the near future, it is started that with the help of nanosensor placed on it, clothes that report abnormal conditions, the doctor via wireless lines by regularly controlling heartbeat, body temperature, and blood sugar. Thanks to small portable kits to be developed with the help of these nanosensors, body fluids such as blood and urine are sent to culture. They will be able to be analyzed microbiologically in seconds at the bedside. Nanotechnology in pharmacology. In addition, the diagnostic method and advance in clinical microbiology, nanotechnology has entered the pharmacology field into the past 30 years. However, the number of studies, the diagnosis of disease drug targeting to certain tissues and molecular imaging is quite high. Multifunction nanodistribution system developed with the nanotechnology studies, it can be used for multiple purposes such as targeting, diagnosis, and treatment. Today, drugs are placed in nano-sized sphere and capsules in the nanodistribution system used to treatment of diseases, and they can directly affect the tissue with the help of calibrates from the blood researching and desired effective concentration in the tissue, thereby proving a local perfect instead of system effect. These drug molecules and drug delivery system can easily reach the target area as can easily pass structures such as the cell membrane and blood-brain barrier. In addition, since the drug placed in nano-sized sphere and capsules are small, they can be easily removed from body through pharmacolysis. Features of nanodistribution system: protecting drugs from spoilage, increasing drug absorption by increased diffusion from the epithelium, changing the tissue distribution and pharmacokinetics of the drug, spreading in the intracellular area, pharmacokinetics of the drug, spreading into the intracellular area and showing effects. due to its ability to research high concentrations in the tissue. Drug targeting system in cancer and serious infectious diseases have entered the field of application in treatment. With nanotechnology, proper management of proteins and peptides is ensured, and side effects of traditional treatments are eliminated. Nanotechnology in the treatment of diabetes. Diabetes patients should constantly calculate their insulin doses and apply them at regular intervals. In traditional practice, patients like calibrate blood samples from their fingers to control blood glucose and perform glucose monitoring themselves. In diabetes, patients' glucose monitoring is decided to painless and non-invasive inject-type enzyme electrodes or microdialysis probes implanted into the substance tissue are ready to be released for continuous glucose control. However, there are some problems such as short life of these products and sensor definitions, repeated placement of sensor problems, semi-invalids. However, research is underway to ensure that fluorescent-based nanosensors that respond to glows called smart tattoo are implanted under the skin and can be manipulated from the outside for non-invasive glucose monitoring. Nanotechnology is also embedded in a remote monitoring device to monitor diabetes patients in a preclinical study. Researchers tracked patients' glucose levels using smart nanoscale devices. In this study, nanoproducts delivered to the body through inhalations were immersed in the patient's bloodstream and followed the patient's blood glucose level. Understanding the patient's glucose molecule and measuring the glucose level, these miniature nanoclips lie beneath the mechanism of operation to mimic normal pancreatic work with mimetic theory and therapy prevent fluctuations in blood glucose level. Those long-term side effects associated to diabetes can be prevented by monitoring varying glucose levels. On the other hand, when insulin is administered orally, it is diagnosed by proteolytic enzymes under the influence of pH level. This is the biggest obstacle to hydrophilic drugs to enter the bloodstream. The main purpose of liposome technology developed in early 1976 is to protect the insulin from the deterioration as it passes through the gastrointestinal tract. After the research, the development of a carrier system such as chitosan, which is a polymer nanoparticles, is provided to save protein drugs administered orally or nasally from the effect of gastric enzymes. The chitosan nanoparticles with most advanced properties can deliver the drug to the bloodstream without detonation. Recently, smart cells have been monetization in the treatment of diabetes. In the case of the hyperglycemia, glucose will attack the smart cell and area the insulin-containing structure of the smart cell. Nanotechnology in the treatment of osteoporosis. Another common and chronic disease such as diabetes is osteoporosis. Among metabolic bone diseases, osteoporosis has the highest prevalence. Osteoporosis, which has high incidence among women in the post-menopausal period, leads to initiation of straight treatment, the bone becomes fragile and the number fraction increases. The treatment of metabolic disease, the management of proteins and peptides needs to be elevated. Presentical control of the peptides calculation is difficult in osteoporosis. As general problem, patients' incompatibility to daily multiple injections of peptides and proteins in the primary source of failure in the treatment of metabolic disease. In order to ensure continuous distribution of peptides in the body, research is underway. In parallel, research is underway to develop distribution systems that can be applied muscularly to increase patient compliance. Calcitonin hormones can be given to patients through oral, nasal, or pulmonary routes with new formulas developed at the end. Nanotechnology in pain management. The interest in liposomes has increased the management of pain in recent years, especially in the development of systems that provide free release of anesthetics. These developed products can then be used topical and as a single injections during surgery. Local anesthesia can now be performed with topical application with liposomal formulation added to creams on the skin area where anesthesia is required. Lidocaine-loaded liposomes are widely used in America. Liposomes are especially prominent in eliminating post-operative pain after orthopedic surgeries. Liposomes are another pain control method that can be used instead of morphine. In clinical study, it was started to injection of liposome applied to epidural space can relieve pain for 48 hours. This practice is an important development for hip arthroplasty. In other study, it was reported that solid lipid nanocapsules containing ibuprofen relieve pain for at least 2 hours in oral or in intravenous use in rats. Nanotechnology in wound healing. Nanotechnological products used in wound healing include carriers, drug-related ones, and tissue scaffolds. The main strategy of tissue regeneration in engineering is to make biocompleted tissue scaffolds combined with living cells or bioactive molecules, replacing them with damaged tissue, renewing or repairing tissue. The tissue scaffold should have features such as biocompatibility, controlled porosity, and permeability, and also support cell attachment and reproduction. Artificial dermal layer, which is ready for us, is produced in the form of dermal analogs. Although the use of dermal analogs is not always successful, it must adhere to the tissue and be integrated. The high cost of this method is an important barrier to application for surgeons and patients. It is planned to use electrospin nanofibers to heal chronic wounds such as diabetic ulcers or burns. Nanotechnology in prevention and treatment of infections. As numbers of microorganisms resistant to antibiotics, antiseptics, and disinfectants use increases day by day, alternative systems should be developed against bacteria. Nanosilver enters the wound through body influence can kill bacteria within 30 minutes. Nanotechnology in the supply of oxygen. With a new technique developed based on mimetic theory, which means imitation of nature, the amount of oxygen carried in the body can be increased significantly. It is true that nanosystems can be used to develop artificial erythrocrystal and to supply spare blood to meet the oxygen requirement. Especially in the cases of urgent need for blood, artificial enterocytes will be activated, and the risk of transmitting viral infections that pose a security problem for donors can also be prevented. Approximately 1,000 at atmospheric pressure oxygen was stored in the nanobots designed as a mechanical red blood cells to release as needed. The surface of these spherical nanorobots were covered with carbon and tried to be protected from rejection of the immune system. This artificial erythrocytes developed can supply 236 times more oxygen than normal red blood cells. With this high oxygen supply provided, a person can hold their breath for 4 hours. Artificial erythrocytes, it can be used to provide hemoglobin support rapidly in temporary traumas or in several blood losses in sickle cell anemia crises and surgeries that last longer. Nanotechnology in medical textile production. Nanotechnology applications in the field of medical textile are called nanotextiles. Definition of nanotextile covers all textile surface obtained by nanotechnology. Textile materials processed with nanotechnological applications can have water-repellent, antibacterial, antifungal, and heat insulation properties. If the textile surface are covered with crystal ceramic particles in the future, they will be able to convert mechanical forces into electrical signals. When the fabric designed in this way is worn onto the body, functions such as heart rhythm and body temperature can be monitored. Health monitoring. Nanotubes and nanoparticles can be used as glucose, carbon dioxide, and cholesterol sensors, and for instance monitoring of homeostasis, the process by which the body maintains metabolic equilibrium. In the developed world, cancer is the top the list of diseases being targeted for nanomedical treatment. In developing nations, the use of nanotechnology is also being explored in the fight against infectious diseases such as HIV and TB. Nanotechnology can harm on health. It has been reported that nanoparticles which can be mixed with usable blood, the body throughout breathing, nutrition, and skins affect many organs in the body and causes variation disorders. These are studies in the literature that draw attention to the importance of this issue. While doing nanotechnology studies in this direction, the harmful effect and uncertainties that nanoparticles will cause on living things and the environment are taken into considerations. Nanotechnological products have the potential to have a toxic effect on respiratory, digestive, central nervous systems, and skin due to their molecular properties. Nanoparticles enter the human body most easily through the lungs. After inhalation, particles stimulate inflammatory protein synthesis, causing oxidative stress. Thus, it develops granulation and inflammation the lung tissue. It also participates in the systemic circulation very quickly with blood and lymph circulation, and can lead to constructions such as pulmonary endothelial dysfunction, atherosclerotic changes, impaired heart rate and rhythm, and sudden death. The size of particle is the main determinant in entry and settlement of the airways. When the particle size less than 100 nanometers, since these particles accumulate more in air and liquid, they can easily research structures such as epithelial tissue, lymphatic blood circulation, nervous system, and when they are longer than 100 nanometers, they can't reach the target organs because they are destroyed by the liver. Some nanoparticles go out of the expected distribution areas, disrupt the structure of proteins, create an inflammatory and toxic effect, and the possibility of their accumulation in the body leads to risky situations in living things. Although the biological effects of nanomaterials, whose members and issue are increasing rapidly, are not known exactly, it has been revealed that most of these substances may have a cryogenic or mutagenic potential, and the concept of genetic toxicology has begun to be mentioned. The first study showing the nanoparticles have the negative effect of human health was conducted in 2009 by Song, Lee and Du. In study, it was emphasized that lungs due to nanoparticles could develop serious damage. As a result, many studies show that nanoparticles have toxic effect on living things. The future widespread use of nanotechnology in the coming years will increase the contact people with these substances and reduce the risk that may areas. Nanotechnology and Health Network (NHN) networking group that gathers and shares information and facilitates knowledge transfer on the topic of nanotechnology and health to workers and workplaces in Ontario. Intends is to ensure sufficient knowledge is available to establish and maintain adequate controls for potential exposures when nanomaterials are present and handled, manipulated. The groups is a mixed technical experts and also representatives that are be directly associated with the workplace operations. NHN priorities identify methods or identification of specific industries, organizations, and operations that produce, use, manipulate nanomaterials. Strategy for prioritizing inventated groups, strategy for communication, prioritized groups to discuss evaluated current practices and control measures, establishing a process for evaluating and reporting on findings. That are my references. And thank you so much for listening to me. See you later.